And welcome to another episode of Who Gives a Hoot. I'm Luke. That's Kyle, and we're joined by Braedon. John is having a date night after the failed attempt of us recording during a natural disaster last week, where I believe all of us lost power.
I didn't lose power, but I was definitely in my basement while trees were hitting the roof.
So no, we tried recording for the first time in a month, and a natural disaster decides to just roll through Omaha, and half of Omaha loses power for some period of time, and still portions without as of this recording. So
yeah, half is fairly accurate too. That's not hyperbole.
Yeah, that my chainsaw saw more action than it has since I bought it in the past week. But we got a lot of games to talk about, and so for the sake of expediency, we're probably just gonna brush over most of July. Broad strokes. There have been some great articles by Tim, Ranting Blue Penguin, on wghmedia.com. So if you want more detail, go there. But let's go all the way back to July 6th.
Yeah.
At Lexington.
The Goal Fest that was Lexington. July started off really well for us, right?
It did. We didn't have a home game until the end of July, which we're just kind of used to having months without home games.
Yeah.
But yeah, we ended June well, started July very well down in Lexington, let in 2 goals. But dominating performance, 4-2.
And then turn that into the Greenville game, which I was at, as well as a number of others as well who made the trip down. It was really fun. It was awesome. The fact that we won made it even better. And after that, we were at the top of the table. We had this high point where we're there. We hit the top of the table, and then things changed.
Yeah, second half of July didn't look so good. Next game at Northern Colorado being a Jaeger Cup match. Or was that a Jaeger Cup match? Yeah, that was.
Mm-hmm.
And granted, the guys had played Greenville the week before, having to switch out to Colorado. You figure a week's going to be enough time to recover. You don't know if with the altitude, but boys looked flat. It just midfield was not controlling the game like it normally did. And
one piece of that, which we should at least mention, is that we did have a player that we lost in the midfield, PC, who ended up retiring and going down to coach in San Antonio. And so after the Greenville game, he played in Greenville, did not play in Northern Colorado. And that's where, I don't necessarily want to correlate the two things, but
if you looked at what PC did as just simply being a defensive midfielder, not a one-for-one, like he's JP Skiers, whatever, but he essentially filled that role. And take him out. We've had him pretty much starting almost every game of the season. That's going to be not a hard replacement, especially when you have no one else that's kind of in that role at the moment.
Yeah, Norte is the closest one, and he started the season when PC was injured a little bit at the start of the season, and he kind of filled that role then. But then and he started to fill that role again. But it's been a little bit since he's been a starter instead of more of a sub, I feel.
Yeah, and I mean Pedro has played that role in the past. Obviously not a favorite role for him.
We don't want him to play there.
No,
we'd rather him warm it up further up.
Yeah, exactly.
I don't think he wants to play there either.
No, and you definitely felt like it was kind of a sudden change there. The midfield didn't. It wasn't vibing in the way it had been. There felt like a lack of communication that just kind of let Northern Colorado play their game. We held a lot of possession there for what we did, but we weren't able to do anything with it. What were we at shots on that game?
I was just gonna say that very much falls in line with the next game then too.
Yeah,
our first home game back in a month.
Yeah, because in Northern Colorado we held 58% possession, 14 shots to their 13. We only had 3 on target, and like it kind of tracks definitely going to that next game there against Chattanooga at home,
where we were the better team for essentially the whole night. Chat got a red card, and then we had one honestly very silly free kick. Why did we do it the way we did it? I don't know. And let them get a breakaway and ended up scoring an own goal on ourselves.
Yep.
Yeah. I mean, that pitch at Werner, we've shown in the past, can be played better with 10 men. And Chat, we outshot them 25-11. We had 8 shots on target versus their 5. And the only difference was a bad clearance by Meshach.
I don't even blame him. It was I at least I don't think so. I don't think he was the one to turn it over.
It looked like the ball took a weird bounce as he tried to clear it. And that being on the infield side.
I blame the free kick. We took a short free kick from a good position.
Yeah.
Why? And then we kicked it right into their player, fell right to a breakaway. We should never have done that. Put the ball in the box.
But also on the breakaway, I don't know what they were doing. Granted, I was on the other side of the field, but it looked like they just couldn't make a decision on who was going to get the player, who was going to be the man on the ball, who was going to cover the far posts so Rashid could cover near. And that's, I would hope you know that situation, what you want to do at that point.
Yeah. It just was an ugly play all around. We weren't able to capitalize on being a man up. No, and I'll say this: Chat's keeper stood on his head that game.
Yeah,
like he showed up. He had an amazing game, made some big saves. We had 8 shots on target, and we're not able to sink a single one.
I didn't actually go and look at the XG after yet because I think it still is going to pain me too much. But I know that at least 2 of those shots, it was going to be a goal. It was surprising that it was not a goal.
Yeah, I don't have the XG handy, but
I'm sure it was through the roof.
Yeah, it was. It was a very frustrating loss because not only because of the red card, but we played well for the most part. We had one screw up and we just could not drive it home. And that rounds out a mixed July. We still finished there, I believe, top of the table.
Yes, because Madison also lost that game and Greenville drew. So
yeah,
we were still top then, I think.
That brings us to this past Saturday against Madison at home.
Sorry, I just looked. It was 2.42 was our XG. Anyway. But yeah, Madison.
It was a lively match. Like it was fun to watch.
I genuinely believe that had we gotten that goal with that Pedro like off the post in the first half, we probably would have won.
Yeah. I also think if whistles were blown at appropriate times, we would have won. But I've tried to pull back my ref ranting.
It was not a particularly good ref, is what I would say.
I mean, he was a scab. There's that. Also, if you looked at his previous track record, he averaged at, I think, like 5 cards a game, which very much to me shouts that a ref doesn't know how to control a match without flashing a card. But Madison gets the first goal. All hope is lost. Madison scored against us first at home. Woe is us. And then we have a hell of a comeback. Like Stevens diving header.
Yeah.
Like holy crap.
And Pedro's too.
Yeah. But I mean, Steven, he's just a big enough guy that I can't imagine that didn't hurt significantly.
Well, he was holding his arm or his chest for a little bit later on. After I don't know if it was from that or if it was something else.
I mean, he was getting fouled pretty heavily too, but I wouldn't be surprised if it was from him going headfirst towards goal, because heck of goals for us. Really taking advantage of breaks in the defense, and then 3 minutes of stoppage time turns into 6, and in the 95th minute, former Owl Jake Krull scores.
Yep.
Now that my seats are at midfield. Kyle, you're usually up right behind me. I don't know if you'd moved at that point.
We had gone down to the berm for the second half, so
yeah, because from where that foul occurred was right near midfield. That led to the free kick that led to that final goal. As far as I could tell, there was no contact by a Union Omaha player, and he tripped over his own feet.
I will say, even from the berm side, I don't know, Braedon, you can verify this too. It didn't really look like anything either.
I was about 8 deep, so kind of.
That's true.
Don't be asking me at this point. The second half was not anything in my memory. I just say I know we scored 2 goals, and I know Madison scored another.
That it definitely looked like he tripped over his own feet. The ref had a Union Omaha player between him and the trip, and I can't fault him on not seeing, but that's somewhere where linesman should have said something.
Right.
And it just led to that free kick, and Pro gets in, gets the goal.
Yeah.
And they celebrate like they've won. was an interesting.
Yeah.
Well, for them, it's a
development.
victory at this point.
And that puts us with a break in league play. What are we sitting in? Second or third?
We're second, but we're tied for second with the whole group. And a new challenger has emerged. Charlotte is top of the table. After a 3-3 draw that they got a point from.
Of the top four, we're the only one with a game in hand.
Yep.
Yes, that is true.
So we still control our own destiny. We have Madison has a better goal differential than us.
But it's wins that matters.
It's wins
and
that
we're
matter.
beating them on wins.
We are beating them on
tiebreaker.
wins. So right now, we have a break in league play to go to Fresno.
Well, I will just say August in general is very league light for us. We have one other league game in August.
Yep.
And that's it.
We have a week and a half break.
We have until a friendly, and then we have a half-week break until Richmond, and then we have another half-week break until our last Jaeger Cup game against Madison.
Yeah.
So it's a very light August in a lot of ways.
It definitely is. Well, Fuego has traditionally been trash, except their past 4 games they've won 3.
Yep,
that right?
That's correct.
And
they beat Chat, they beat Tormenta before that, they lost to Madison, and beat Spokane before that.
So, are they finally finding some footing? Are the pedicures with the players promos working for them? Like, what do you think's going to be our biggest challenge going against Fuego?
I will say this first.
Well,
that's and Chat, Tormenta. Madison, the team they played in there, they lost. Who's up there with us?
Yeah. So they're doing well against lower table opponents.
So I think, I don't know, maybe that is essentially my thought is maybe they're finally playing up to that, like maybe mid-table potential, which we can get beat by. We thought of Chat, right? That's maybe more where the expectations for them are this year now, instead of fully bottom dwellers.
No, it's squeak into the playoffs and maybe they've got another year in them.
Hey, they got Jermaine Jones though.
Do they?
Is this happening? Is this his magic coming through?
Finally, it takes half a season.
I can see it take half a season. I won't. I'll give him that. If that's what's really happening.
I mean, there is a 5-point difference between playoff line. He could easily make that up if he plays his cards right.
Yeah.
And they're not bottom of the table right now either.
No, they are 11th out of 12. Because we actually have 12 teams.
The team that everyone or most people picked to finish first this year.
Yeah. Well, we'll see how it goes. I'm a little worried about how we're going to bounce back after losing a lead late at home. I
Well, I think one of the other things to talk about that we hadn't really talked about was some of the player complications. We talked about PC, but that was the only one.
yeah.
Dion in the Greenville game had gone off, had to go off, had an injury. So we got to see former and now again present Owl Isaac Bawa come in and replace him on that short contract, which has now been extended with partly because it seems like Dion's getting a bit more banged up this year, and we also seem to have brought in another a bit of assistance there too in
Yeah.
Charlie Ostrom, a new signing. And we haven't seen him yet, but he did sit the bench against Madison. The one we have seen is Max Schneider, who we saw both against Chattanooga and against Madison. So I thought when he came in, he really controlled that midfield well in that six role in that position, especially against Madison. When we started making that comeback, he was popping up a lot in those attacks. So I think it's interesting to have him come in the mix.
I wouldn't be surprised if we saw him start in the 6 role against Fuego. He's come on subbed in very well in that position, frees up the rest of the midfield to actually be on the attack when you've got a 6 that knows what they're doing. He seems to read the ball very well. So I think that's a definite possibility for a starter against Fuego. Bawa being signed to the full season, I was very big on him when he was initially with us, and then had that injury that sidelined him. Very happy to have him back.
I mean, that's with a combination of reasons, but I think that's one of the reasons we did so bad at the end of 2022, because after that injury is when we had that slide of like 7 bad games in a row.
Yep.
So.
Yeah, I mean, when you lose a key defender and a good defender like Isaac, it hurts. So happy to see that he's come back from injury and is still able to contribute when needed.
Yeah.
Right now we have a very strong defense, so he's not getting the playing time. Guys that have been playing very well together.
It is also a slightly different formation, I think, than he might be used to, because we played him in a flat back 4 when we had him before, but now it's the 3 or 5 back, however you want to say it. Yeah.
So I don't think he's going to get as much playing time now, but we may, against a team like Fuego, I could see us doing more rotation, putting in the guys who aren't getting the regular starts. Like I think we'll see Wallace again.
I think we'll see Knapp, because Knapp is one of the players that that Dom really likes to throw on in these types of games. So I wouldn't be surprised to see him start.
Like I wouldn't say we'd see it entirely rotated. I still think you're going to see Joe out there.
Joe hasn't been starting.
Oh yeah, he came back from injury.
Yeah,
he came on as a sub.
Yeah, he did get the assist. Was it for the DeSantis goal?
Yeah,
one of them. I can't remember which one.
He did get at least one. So good to see him back finally. But hurting for him as well, because that was.
I mean, he had a fire start of the season, but Dos Santos, imagine still see him out there.
Yeah, I'll have to do. I haven't. It's been busy, so I haven't done my updates recently, but he's at least our second leading goal scorer of all time. He might have gotten close to Noe's record.
He is. Well, I guess this is only league showing right now.
It depends on how updated things are too.
Yeah.
Yeah. But he's at, I believe he was at like 21 goals last I checked. I'd have to pull it up.
I think that's about
Um,
right.
He was at, yeah, he was at 21 goals, and he at least got one since I've done this, so that he'd at least be at 22. And I believe Noe had 23.
No, he had 23.
Sounds,
Yeah,
yeah, that sounds right.
yeah. So he's at least, right near Noe, if not having
He,
passed him already. So
he's knocking on the door.
yeah.
So get him out there, see how he handles it. If he can, he's been a strong leader. He's great at that hold up play against what, to me, when we've played them so far this season, it seemed like a moderately disorganized team in Fuego. Having that sort of hold up play, being able to control in the box could be huge for us.
Yeah, I haven't watched any of the recent games. I don't know if you have, Braedon.
The only one I kind of paid attention to was the Madison game. But otherwise, they're winning, but it doesn't sound like they're like extremely dominant in any way. I think they got a good stride. I'll definitely say that. They definitely know what they're doing, because with Madison, they stuck with them. It wasn't like an easy pushover win, whatever.
So they might be a bit more organized now. Like we were
Yeah.
kind of talking about that, maybe gelling together more. That might just be part of it, is that they're a bit more organized now.
Yeah.
So
This is
we might
definitely
see a
gonna
somewhat
be
different team.
Yeah, it is definitely going to be a different game. This is not pushover. We get 2 goals, we go out of it. If we do,
Oh,
great, better for us. But if Fuego brings their A game, it's gonna be a bit closer, probably.
so Chattanooga um, against Fuego, just looking at quick stats here. Fuego had 54% possession, undershot Chattanooga. Chattanooga had 23 shots. Fuego had 16. Granted, Chattanooga only had 6 on target. Fuego had 7 on target. Converted both their big chances. So, in there against South Georgia, Fuego had 53% possession, outshot Tormenta 20-16, only 6 shots on target. So, like they're not winning possession by a huge amount, but double-digit shots both games, converting those.
So, well, the one thing to consider though, Fuego's out, right? They don't have enough points to catch up to NoCo. NoCo's ran away with our group.
Yeah.
The only way that they could get in to the next round is via the stupid ass wild card, which currently we're in the lead for getting, because we have 12 goals, and the nearest person to us that is not in first place, so that's part of the caveat, has 8 goals. Fuego also has 8 goals for. So, I mean, they might be just trying to go and make it a really high-scoring game just to give them a better chance at getting in. Now, up against us, maybe that doesn't work as well because we're the one they're kind of fighting against. But we have to play Madison in the last game. So I don't see maybe as many goals in that game. So if we're going to put that goal number up higher, I feel like we're going to try and go for it this game, maybe.
So you think you see Dos Santos, Misael, and Joe out there?
I could see it, and just see it trying to bomb forward and score as much as we can. because we're realistically not going to pass NoCo in points right now, right?
No.
Like NoCo's 5 points ahead of us. There's 2 games
Yeah.
left. So the only way that we can get into the next round is the wild card.
Yeah.
And I think for a number of teams, they're going to start realizing that too. Right?
Yeah.
You have
unless NoCo bombs, like completely bombs.
I
plays
don't see
Spokane.
it. They're playing for this cup.
Yeah. It's what they got.
So I don't see that happening. Because just looking around here, like Greenville is 4 points ahead in their group. They have 9 goals for. Charlotte has 8, and they're second. Madison is leading their group with only 5 goals for. And they have 12 points, whereas Lexington and Knoxville are only a point back from them, and they have 8 and 7 goals for. So who knows what's going to happen in that group? But then in our group, NoCo's essentially locked it up. So really, the only avenue that we have is just whoever doesn't get first, we got to beat them in goals scored.
Yeah. So need to score a lot of goals. A lot of goals on Saturday.
It's Friday
many goals do you
night,
think-
isn't it?
Yeah, Friday night.
It's Friday night
Friday
at 10
night?
o'clock. Yeah.
Man,
We play so many of these cup games on weekdays. It's silly.
well, gonna have to find a bar in Denver with ESPN Plus. Or is this one on Palazzo or
That I don't know. Let's see. I should have released that.
no, it looks like ESPN Plus.
It is on ESPN
Okay.
Plus.
All right. But we've already kind of talked about it, but what are we thinking lineup? Goal up. Like it's got to be Lapsley.
Yeah,
I think Lapsley, but I think your front is full force. I think just behind that, you maybe have one of your wingers as Knapp. Maybe try Bawa as the other and go that route as your kind of wing back roles. But I think pretty much everyone else is going to be first team choice.
First.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, we've got a good break between this and our next, or is there only a week between?
No, it's 2 full weeks, but again, there's the Bellevue friendly that's in there, but it's 2 full weeks until we play Richmond at home for the next league game.
Yes, I forgot about the showstopper friendly.
Yeah.
When's that? The 21st?
I believe so.
Yeah, and the 24th, I want to say, is the Richmond game.
Yeah, the 24th is the Richmond game.
And then we have the Thursday game against Forward for the final Jaeger Cup game after that.
Yeah.
That's on the 29th.
Well,
so I don't really think we're going to be like putting our starters out in the friendly, of course, because I think that's more for.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. No.
I don't foresee that.
It's definitely that's why I think we kind of play what we have in this game, because you have so much time off, and then you have the Richmond game, which Richmond's not looked great this year. Like, you want to win it, of course, but they haven't looked great. And then you go into that final cup game with Madison, probably with a full roster. So.
And there is a scenario where we could spoil Madison's group stage win there, because depending on how they do in the next game, and we're playing them in the final game, even if we draw or even if they win, they could very much be out. So,
especially with how few goals they've scored.
Yeah, like that's the main thing too. Yeah. Like, they have not scored goals. The only way they could probably do it is they win out probably because
Mhm.
it's a very razor thin point margin. And Lexington's actually been pretty decent in the Jaeger Cup. The one thing they've actually kept up with.
I mean, those who can't doing the Jaeger Cup.
Actually, I want to see what their next Jaeger Cup game is. They play Chat, and Lexington and One Knox play each other. So they definitely have a chance to get themselves in a good position.
Yeah.
So we'll see.
So, I mean, as we're nearing the end of the group stage of the Jaeger Cup, it's going to be do or die. So tune in, I guess, Friday at 10 p.m. Central Time for hopefully a lot of goals.
We'll see if we get that what is it, Pacific Island record of the like 34-0 or whatever that happened.
I think it was like 47-1.
It was the Australia-American Samoa match for World Cup qualifying. I actually watched the movie all about it called Next Goal Wins on one of my flights while I was
with
traveling
Fassbender
recently. Very great movie. I really enjoyed it. But I don't think we're going to get that. We're not the gulf between us and Fuego is not that large. I wish it was, but it's not.
Yeah.
I don't know. We just need to shame Jones into permanent retirement.
I don't think we need him to retire that early. I think we just need to keep him. I like it as a punching bag at the very least.
Hey, I hold his goal against Portugal very fondly in my heart, but
the Gedling goal was bigger. Sorry.
But so we've already talked about the 3 signings we made during July. Bellevue University friendly that's coming up on August 21st.
There's a lot of perks to that, so you might want to go, if you haven't heard, you want to go look those up. There's like a whole suite of options that they have to like be a ball kid and be at a pool by the field and all this other stuff. So if you're interested, look it up.
I mean, most of those come with food and drink, so, and some of them with fun t-shirts. So other than that, August is going to be a kind of slow month. Pick it up there towards the end and see what we can do. Just briefly going to mention this, but for information, if anyone is looking for more information regarding an incident that occurred at the Union Omaha Madison game, Tim Howerton has an article on WGHmedia.com that is being live updated as information becomes available on that from the various parties involved. So if you're looking for information there, go check out our blog. And that's where you can get the most factual information regarding what's going on. But exciting game out in Fresno Friday night. Stay up late or take a nap in the afternoon, and
it's a Saturday the next day. What do you got?
I got work. I got to wake up at
I was gonna say other than the gold medal game for the U.S. women, but
yeah, that one too. Yeah. That one I will watch for sure.
Yeah, but watch that and then keep your eyes peeled because there was rumors that there might be an actual good friendly coming later this season.
Maybe.
Maybe. I mean, we've been hearing that for 5 years now. So
it sounds like it's hard to schedule for a few reasons.
Yeah,
which I get. I do understand that.
So, but Yes, I got just one last question for you both. Who gives a hoot?
We do.